Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Committed Critics, a pop culture podcast where we're not only committed to our opinions, but also each other.
Aww.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Ryan Davis.
I'm Zach.
I'm Kevin Lau.
I hate everything about that.
I know. I'm so used to going second, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
So
I thought my part was pretty nice.
is this really progressive? We're having the woman do the romance thing that she picked. Is this really the most progressive option we have here, guys?
Look, she asked for the opportunity. I said yes, so I gave it to her.
That's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, Jordan, since you're a girl, do this for me.
Since you're a girl, you're doing the girl stuff.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, I challenged you guys to watch the very first season of Bridgerton.
Nice.
That was our challenge.
It was.
It was something.
It was definitely a challenge, I will say that much.
Yeah, very much.
I enjoyed texting Kevin the entire time, watching his reactions to certain things.
I'm gonna be honest. Part of the reason I picked this when we did our last challenge was, first of all, Kevin wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh no, I hope you don't pick Bridgerton. Uh-oh. I was like, okay, so part of it was for that. And the other part was I wanted to see if I could make Ryan uncomfortable.
Oh, you very much did.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Goals achieved.
So y'all
Good job.
can say whatever you want about Bridgerton, but I got what I wanted out of it. So
Yeah,
anyway,
you got to watch it again.
and I got to watch it for the fourth time. It's fine.
So
Nice.
Kevin, in it's you asked for this.
I did. No, I 100%. I take full blame for this. Because I thought I was gonna like it. I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a nice, fun, steamy romance. I'm down for this. Let's watch it. Also wanted to make Ryan suffer for a bit.
Wow.
I want to
Thanks,
see
guys.
sex.
No, but
I want to see the intercourse.
I have to know what people do in their spare time. No, I was surprised how much I did not care for it, but we'll get to that in a bit.
All right. So just a quick thing. What is Bridgerton? So Bridgerton is a historical fiction romance novel series created by Julia Quinn, and the books are being adapted for television. So right now they have 2 seasons, with the 3rd season in production now, and it's streaming on Netflix. And each season covers a different Bridgerton siblings story. So this first season is from The Duke and I, which covers Daphne and Simon's story. And then season 2 is not romancing. That's season 3. The Viscount Who Loved Me, and that is Anthony and Kate's story. But the television series comes from Shondaland and was created by Chris Van Dusen. And yeah, it's a very successful show for Netflix. And it was pretty successful when it first came out. And that's when I first watched it, and I loved it, even though it does have its issues. But more on that later, like Kevin said. But let's just go right into the overall thoughts. So Kevin, you already kind of said yours, but go for it, my guy.
All right. So like I said, I was expecting to enjoy a steamy, vapid romance. Instead, I got something that suffers from a very severe case of tunnel vision to the point of being morally questionable.
Nice.
But at the same time, it thinks it's prestige TV with how it's trying to incorporate themes into the story.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not very well thought out at all.
No.
Also, to any person of color interested in watching this, don't let the facade of diversity fool you. This one's not for us. It's not racist. Yeah, it's not racist. It's not racist. It's just not for us.
It doesn't acknowledge a lot.
It acknowledges 2 races.
I will say season 2 does a little bit of a better job.
Okay, that's what I heard that too. So
Yeah.
okay, at least they're it sounds like season 2 looked at the problems of season 1 and kind of worked on that.
Yeah.
So
Man, how pissed off
what
would
I
you guys
hear,
be if I
apparently-
chose season 2 to be my challenge?
Also,
if season 2 was actually good, I would not hate it. So,
I just
What
want
were you
to say,
saying,
from what I
Ryan?
hear, the diversity thing is a television only thing. The books apparently are still all white people.
Yeah, no, the books are
Correct, yes.
okay. So the first book, The Duke and I, was published in 2000.
right.
Right. Okay. Yep. So think about how everything was 23 years ago. Like,
War on
Right.
Terror. Woo!
like
We
obviously,
just
It was no, it's
Diversity.
the year
Just
before that.
discovered black people.
The
Yeah.
second book would be in the Year of Terror. Woo!
yeah, diversity was not a big thing discussed or
Right.
even in movies and things like that. So, and also because it's a historical fiction,
Mhm.
you're gonna have it's white people. Like it's in the
Right.
early 1800s. Like you're gonna have white people. So
No, of course. And no, I mean, like, here's the thing. Like,
not defending
was-
it by any means. I'm just saying
No, no,
that's
no.
that's the accuracy.
yeah, no, like it being like the books being like purely white is makes total sense to me. And then like I think the choice to make it the cast more diverse in the show is actually a really good thing.
Mhm.
The problem is how they acknowledge it in universe,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
also it's not as diverse as they think it is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Ryan, what are your thoughts?
So, I imagine this is what Gossip Girl would be if it was set in the 18th century Britain.
Very
It's
accurate
that-
statement, actually.
I
I'm gonna
was very
disagree.
much like, I was just very much like, this is literally just someone's blog. This is just someone's blog in 18th century Britain. It's like Game of Thrones without the violence and people have no sexual endurance. Jordan, I'm sorry, I had to phone a friend. Shout out Madeline Parker. I called on her to help me finish watching this. I only got through 2 episodes and I could not keep going. So thank you for
Puss.
that. I seriously was like, after 2 episodes, I was like, if I don't get someone to help me watch this, I will fall asleep. Yeah, I'll give props to the acting. There were some moments I was impressed. Killing Marina, she was very phenomenal. But there was a lot of unnecessary drama. But it's literally a romance drama, so that's to be expected. But
Ryan,
yeah.
what's the point of that sentence right there? There's a lot of unnecessary drama, but it's a romance.
I'm like, look at. Here's the thing. There's
Ryan,
so much. That
Ryan, watch the document for a second. All right,
There are
you go.
romance.
there you go.
There are romance drama has really good drama, Ryan. Don't diss good romance dramas.
I think there's good romance dramas, but this, I was like, when they got to episode 5, and I was like, this is still going. I was like, oh great, there's going to be more drama.
Didn't even get to the worst part yet.
No. Listen, the pacing of this is horrible. Like it needs a complete rewrite.
My favorite thing was texting Kevin and him like, man, this show I thought it'd be better. And I said, it was created by the creator of Grey's Anatomy. And the amount of capitalization exclamation points that went off in Kevin's head, hilarious. He's like, that makes so much sense.
It
Yeah,
makes
because
so
it's
much
like-
sense.
Because it's like it's all like the way the plot is paced. It's like a stream of consciousness.
Mhm.
And it's just so based on its starting point, the end point of the story should have been the wedding, but like it obviously could have been developed better as an ending. But like we get to the wedding, and then we still have 4 hours left of the show. I'm
Yeah.
like,
But that's how
where
the
is
book
this
is.
going?
So the books are set up like that, where the wedding is kind of like in the middle, and then you get to see married life in the last half.
That's wild.
So that's kind of my
Yeah.
issue with season 2 is that the wedding is actually the very end, whereas like in the book, it's kind of like it's the end of the second act, and so the beginning of the third is them kind of finally figuring out that they do love each other.
Right. So here's the thing, though. If for this season, I think the way to fix the pacing, at least make it work better as a show, is to actually start at the wedding. Trick the audience to think that there's like everyone's in like they're in love and stuff like that, and then like Daphne and Simon get home, and then like it turns out that's like they're gonna sleep in separate rooms, and then
They fucking hate each other.
Yeah. Or Daphne loves Simon. Simon doesn't. Simon has his own trauma he's trying to deal with. And then the rest of the show is trying to develop that romance. They'll develop that relationship throughout the whole thing until it ends with them having a family at the end.
See, I would say the opposite, Kevin, where it's like you show the romance and it looks all happy. Then now I was saying you go back to the beginning, work your way up to the wedding. You find out it was like a whole lot of
Absolutely not.
messed up.
Absolutely
That's
not.
Just
We
in
are-
next episode, Kevin rewrites Bridgerton.
So I think, okay, we go with our overall thoughts. We'll get to the break real quick. Right?
Yeah.
So I enjoyed my time with it. The set and production design, really tasteful. I
Mhm.
love the vivid colors and nice change of pace. Actors and actresses performed their asses off, did a good job considering the lack of writing. Plot and story isn't the strongest because it comes from a 20-year-old romance book. My overall thought that is the biggest that I think that hit hardest is because how old this book is, it should have been adapted better to the screen. Because there is a good story here if you just take it and like
definitely
make it with context and like not 21st century, but like 20 years later in 2023.
Yeah, like part of what bothered me is that there is potential in this story. It's just executed so poorly.
It just copy and pasted from the book, basically.
Yeah,
with other plot lines from different books. What you've told me, Jordan, that to make it more of a serialized drama.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, it's okay to make changes to the source material because sometimes the source material isn't that good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's like
example, Last of Us.
Yeah. When I say that I like the books better, I do just because you get more in-depth looks about the individual characters. Like
I would have to see how the books are like formatted and paced. Like it might be better in book form. It just doesn't work very well in show form currently.
Yeah.
Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love the series. Like I've watched the show before I read the book. So even though I think the books are better, like I've been saying, I do like the way the show is making the Bridgerton story more interesting and not as to the point of the books. Like I know that kind of contradicts what I just said, but like I like the in-depth look about the characters in the books because each book is centralized around one of the siblings. So you get all of the perspective like of what they're thinking. Whereas with the show, you get the little bits and pieces from the other books into like this first season. So you start to see more about Eloise, right? In season 1 about her not wanting to be with someone. You get Penelope and how much she loves Colin. Even Marina, like Marina doesn't show up until Eloise's book, and that's book 5. So like just so to get like these little bits and pieces, like the guy that Marina ends up with at the end of season 1, Sir Philip Crane, that's Eloise's love interest in her story. So so I watched the first season, loved it. I read the books. And then I rewatched the show again, and then I started to pick up on more things. Like, okay, they introduced these characters, and so that was really cool. Like Cressida plays a huge role in Penelope and Colin's story in this will be season 3, technically book 4. So, because actually book 3 is Benedict's story. And,
interesting.
But the thing with Benedict's story is that like he meets his love interest at a ball. It's a very Cinderella thing. It's a masquerade. They meet, they kiss. Basically, he falls in love with her from the very first moment. And then he doesn't see her for 2 years. So I'm wondering if maybe they'll establish that in this next season. And then that way they have some time to be like, okay, now it's been 2 years. Maybe season 4 is Benedict's story, or season 4 will be Eloise's because it builds right off of Penelope and Collins, and then we'll go to Benedict. So that's what I'm kind of interested to see how they tackle that.
I need you to respect Benedict's actual name is Tommy from Arrow.
It is that guy.
No, it's not.
No, he just looks like
It looks
him.
exactly like him, though.
Oh, interesting. It was like, okay, gotcha.
But so anyways, like, is it the best show out there? No, absolutely not. But it's a good show to turn your brain off and just enjoy.
And we will talk about our likes and that, man, spicy scene after the break.
Hey everybody, my name is Jordan, and you've probably heard me on an episode or two, but did you know I also have a baking channel? Bluebell Bake is by the amateur baker for the amateur baker. On the channel, I'll be posting recipes, tips and tricks, and more so we can all learn to better our baking skills. You can find my channel on YouTube at Bluebell Bake, we're currently posting monthly, or on Instagram and TikTok, both at bluebell.bake. Come join our little community where no matter what happens, we keep on baking.
Don't you wish there was a pop culture review site that appealed to cinephiles, both professional and casual? Well, look no further than crpwrites.com. New content such as movie and TV reviews, film essays, and more are released every week by writers who crave for movies like every moviegoer craves for popcorn. CRP Writes is dedicated to making sure no one is wasting time or money where they shouldn't be. After all, you have to be able to buy your popcorn and eat it too. crpwrites.com. Casual reviews with purpose since 2018.
And welcome back. We're still talking about Bridgerton. And normally with these challenges, we talk about one thing we liked and one thing we didn't like. However, we're going to start with one thing we liked, and then we'll go into something a little bit more.
One thing we should all dislike.
Yes, one thing we should all dislike. So, Ryan, how about you start us off? What's one thing you liked?
So I took notes when I was watching this. I enjoy the Lady Whistledown mystery up until they reveal who it is. I was very much like, that was what was keeping me invested, because I was like, I want to know who this is. And then they revealed it, and I was very unhappy. And also I realized that should have been a series finale type deal. I was like, okay.
Not a series finale, but I agree with you. It was weird being the end of season 1.
Yeah.
They almost didn't put it in there.
Yeah.
It was weird, because then I'm like, well, that just lost like half the mystery for like the rest of the show.
I don't know. It
Now
was
you
pretty
know.
obvious. I thought it was pretty obvious. So when it was revealed, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know why I thought it was going to be like a next season thing, but okay.
In hindsight, it's obvious, but like at the same time, I was like, I was really hoping it wasn't. But yeah.
I will say season 2, it gives them the chance to explore like how she was doing it. And it also plays an important role in her and Eloise's relationship. So
my only question, like logistically, would be like, how long was Lady Whistledown writing for?
But in the books?
Or just in world, in universe?
I assume she started that season.
Yeah, she did. It was so it was like the London season is like, what, 3 months? Like that entire summer?
Okay.
So she started that season because when she was out in society, she was able to look around and get all the gossip.
Wow, that's
because
I mean, good for her for getting that much traction so quickly.
Get that bread.
But in the books,
I figured it was just because no one paid attention to her, and so she was like, "Oh, I can get all the gossip."
In the book, she does it for like 7 seasons, 7 like courting London seasons. So like because no one wants to dance with her.
I just want to make sure that the timelines matched up to something reasonable, and it's not like, oh, she's been Lady Whistledown since she was 10 years old.
No.
Snap.
It's when she first enters society, because now she's at the balls. She can see everything that's going on. She can hear what the servants are saying.
Gotcha.
Ryan, continue.
She decided to do that.
Ryan, continue.
I enjoy the costuming, and black people in power is always good. God bless Lady Danbury and Will. They are the 2 black people I was like hyped for. And I was like, oh, I can live with these. Eloise is the only tolerable white person. Colin almost makes the cut for being a lovable, clueless dumbass, but yeah.
All right. I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
As I mentioned earlier, I loved how vivid and colorful everything is. Like, just it was such a change of pace, seeing something bright and lively and saturated shots. Like, all the colors really pop. Like, there's even one shot in the later episode that's just so clearly overexposed. Like, it should not have been that bright. Like technically, that's how bad it was. And I'm like, man, you know what? I'll take it. After all the dark and gloomy I've watched over the years, I'm fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Jordan that she'll say about later. The cast deserve a round of applause. The only thing is, I love Lady Danbury. Great character. Highly like Lady Danbury. I will say, I like most of the costumes, Ryan. I'll agree with you there, except for Daphne's, because she only wears fucking nightgowns.
Well, I've got to comment on the costumes.
They're only nightgowns. They're only nightgowns.
Yeah, I have something on the costumes too.
Well, like her wearing only nightgowns too. Like, I don't know, like, because you want costumes to basically express character, kind of like how Lady Featherington always kind of wears a tight waist.
Right.
To see how vain, to tell how vain she is.
Yes.
Daphne always wearing nightgowns is like, are you trying to tell us that she's just like the most plain person in the world? Like,
Well, in the book, she is.
Oh wow.
She's not the diamond in the books.
I mean, it like I was telling Zach, like vanilla, like Daphne was just a very vanilla character throughout the season, and just uninteresting protagonist
Until that scene.
Even that with that scene, I'm like, okay, you made her more interesting, but at what cost?
I'll be honest. I think this is just me looking into it and getting more like analyzing with it.
Yeah.
The nightgowns to me like showed Daphne's like childness and how she's not ready to go into the world.
Right.
Like how much her mom and her brother, technically not her because her father's dead, have not prepared her to enter society. And have not prepared, like her mom didn't even tell her how sex works. And like her mom could never do that. Like, oh my God, but no one was there to like explain it to her. Like it had to be Simon to do it, right? So like when we get to that little spicy part later, like she has no concept for what like sexual assault actually is.
Right.
And
The nightgowns.
It's no excusing it by any means, but it just
Right.
I feel like that is a reflection on Daphne, just a child, and she's a
Mhm.
child until the very end, even when she's married.
Yeah, for sure.
The nightgowns. Are you saying she was wearing those all the time?
Well,
Pretty
they
much.
were dresses,
They're
but they
dresses,
looked like
but
nightgowns.
they all look like nightgowns, like
With the
little
silhouette.
nighties, as the
Dresses.
British called it.
I just thought they were all dresses. Guys, I'm not a fashion expert.
Right. It's just that was the style. Like it's not supposed to be form fitting, especially when
Yeah.
she's just entering society. Like you're not supposed to show off that stuff. It's saved for your husband. So
Yeah, but there are other
Mhm.
like other women in there that have different the dress styles that are more clearly like ball gowns and dresses. But like
Mhm.
every time you see Daphne, it's always like a little puff on the shoulder and like silk, and it just looks very much like a nightgown.
Oh, did not recognize it.
Kevin, go ahead.
Okay. So I think I really like the lighting, the color palette, and art direction. I think they're all top notch and really carry the show visually. And I also love the cast as well. I think they did a fantastic job with the material they were given. I think the cinematography is really interesting in the first 2 episodes as well. A lot of interesting movements and techniques, and even like the use of a split field diopter in some areas, which is really really interesting for a show like this. But then after 2, like the cinematography just takes a huge nosedive. It's literally just a lighting, color palette, and art direction carrying it visually. Because shot composition doesn't look very good. No real use of focal length or movement or anything like that. But like especially in episode 2, like visually, I think is visually the best episode.
Jordan,
go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. As for me, what I like, I love the cast. And like we've already said, I think all the actors did a good job of portraying their characters, even if the dialogue isn't always great. I also love the set design and costumes. Like Zach, you said, it's so bright and colorful that you don't really see that as much in 1800s period pieces. So to get the colorfulness of it, I really liked it. And also like the set design and costumes, they play a really huge role in future books and seasons. So it's just nice to see that too. And then on a side note as well, just something that I always liked, you can't go wrong with classical covers of pop songs. You just can't. It was like when I first watched this first season, I was like, oh my God, like, is that Bad Guy by Billie Eilish? And then in the subtitles, it said Bad Guy. And I was like, oh my God. So that's always great. And I like that they're continuing that in seasons.
I'm a sucker for those as well.
Yes. All right.
Hot take: I was not a fan of those, but
I know you weren't, you little fuck.
It's okay. It's not everyone's.
It's
No,
okay.
it-
You're
it-
wrong sometimes.
it's
Kevin.
not-
It's all right.
I know. No,
I'm
my
just
main
giving you
issue.
shit.
No, my main issue was that the music kept calling attention to itself.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which distracts from the story. So, but that's a whole other discussion.
All right. So,
That scene, episode 6.
hey, I'm hosting this.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, spoilers if you haven't watched Bridgerton, but also a trigger warning too. So the end of episode 6, called Swish. This is where Daphne finds out what semen is and takes control in the bedroom and basically forces Simon to come in her because she thought that Simon could not have kids. Instead, he will not have kids because of past trauma. And I really wanted to talk about this because I guess I can just go right into what I wanted to say about it.
Mhm.
I remember when the show first came out, and I had a friend. So when the show first came out, and we were talking about it a little bit, she was siding with Daphne and kind of making fun of Simon for his daddy issues, and therefore it wasn't fair to make Daphne suffer. In my head, I did not see it like that because honestly, it almost seems that's what the show is trying to depict as well. So
That is exactly what the show is depiction. Yeah, like the showrunners themselves said that.
Yeah.
like in the response to the controversy, they doubled down on that depiction.
yeah. So that's why I'm not, this is not supposed to be like a full blast on her or anything. Like, it's just that it's something that I think needs to be discussed, especially with the showrunners were thinking that same thing. And in the book, it's worse because Simon is drunk and Daphne takes advantage of that. She knows that she can get what she wants when he is inebriated. So It doesn't make the scene, but however, like even though that's worse, like in the books, like it still doesn't make this scene any better in the show. And I think this is just a perfect example of how men getting sexually assaulted and raped is not taken seriously. Like, don't get me wrong, women are barely blamed as is, but men are believed even less. Like, I think of all the stuff that happened with Brendan Fraser and how he was basically blackballed. Like, it's just to see this scene depicted without any comment or trigger warning at the beginning, and even the showrunners backing it and saying like, yeah, this needs to happen. Like, it's just distasteful. But I wanted to bring attention to it because I wanted to hear what you guys thought about it. And just and open that discussion and just see really what it meant for you guys to see that.
I mean, for
All
me,
right, guys.
yeah, for me, the scene comes out of nowhere. Like, even in context with the other content we've seen this season, I think there's only one other time like a reference or like insinuation to sexual assault is made, and it's in the earlier scene where Simon saves Daphne in the garden with Bearbrook,
Yeah.
whatever her name
Nigel.
is. Like, it's implied of what he would do to her in the garden, but isn't like 100% confirmed. And then Simon shows up in time before you can figure that out, right? That's the only other time sexual assault is any kind of way, shape, or form is mentioned in the show, right? And it's ironic she rapes the man who saves her from her would-be rapist, as Kevin and I talked about in our text conversations a while ago. If the writer and creators really wanted to leave this in there, they should have done it in a far more tasteful way with a trigger warning. But there are different ways out of this, right? You can get across this impasse that Simon and Daphne are at with having kids. Like Simon's way of phrasing it as a medically can't have it, like trying to trick Daphne, versus she just being not intelligent on the matter and not informed on the matter. There is a way to go around it and use creative writing and use a different issue for them to overcome.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
But yeah, I don't think this has any place in the show. It doesn't do anything really doesn't make the audience think. It just is, as Ken mentioned later, the wrong version of feminism to push out. It makes people believe the wrong thing because men do experience sexual assault. Obviously, this isn't like men's rights by any means. Like that's not the point.
No.
Feminism is equality.
Oh, that is
across-
definitely not the point of Bridgerton.
Yeah, that's definitely not the point across. Yeah. But like feminism is equal rights for all. That is the textbook definition of feminist. It's not just for the female gender, or it's everyone.
Man, I can't believe you mansplained feminism.
I know.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, guys. I hate to be the one to do
A
it.
white
but,
man just
like,
explain feminism to
I
everyone.
hate to be the guy to do it, but it's time. If Bridgerton's coming out to explain it that way, we got to correct it. But yeah, that's my issue, is inaccurately portraying a message that is in the wrong vein.
Kevin?
All right. So I'm gonna have a little bit of a roundabout way of getting there, but I'll get there. But this scene that we're talking about is, I think, only a symptom of the main problem that the show has, which is the tunnel vision I mentioned. Like, the entirety of this season aims for empowerment and escapism through the lens of white liberal pop feminism.
Yep.
There are constant remarks throughout the show of how men never get things done right, that the women always have to fix things. And they're just literally just comments. There's no action taken forth of that. The men that are considered to be romantically interesting are only considered that because of the childhood trauma they've experienced that forces them to mature. And this is like similar to a trend of fantasy stories where like there's like a hot 20-something looking guy, but he's actually hundreds of years old because with whole pop feminism thing, they want guys to look young but have the maturity of someone who is much older. And the only way to do that is trauma. And also there's the whole part of the tunnel vision as well is diversity of only one color outside of white, and how even how racism was solved, which is very magic wandy, very, very concerning. There's also, and then even though racism was solved in this universe, the costume designs and the set design as well, there's no sign of meshing cultures anywhere. Which is a huge missed opportunity. Like, especially with wardrobe, like, yeah, like you did a really great job of meshing period accurate wardrobe and modern wardrobe, but like this is a world where racism doesn't exist anymore. Like, blend those cultures, create really interesting dresses and suits. And then going back to the scene at the end of episode 6, it frames Daphne as the victim of Simon not wanting to have kids, and then her taking, and then like cheers for her as she finally takes control. And like we said, the creators doubled down on this interpretation in interviews. The show then just slides right past any interesting story element that could have come up. Like Simon could have no longer felt comfortable around Daphne and then further distanced himself, or Daphne had to learn to empathize with Simon and get to the root of why he doesn't want kids and like work through the trauma together. Instead, Daphne continues to be framed as the victim and Simon the perpetrator, to the point that even in the finale, Daphne says, "Forget your trauma and just love me." And then Simon's like, and just like that, all my trauma disappeared.
Hey, just don't be sad anymore.
Just stop being sad.
Just stop being depressed. It's fine. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Your daddy issues, fuck them, like whatever. He's dead.
Like,
That's how trauma works.
I do think like if you wanted to keep the scene of sexual assault in the story, it could still work as like, as I was saying, if you were to rewrite Bridgerton where like the wedding is the beginning of the story, the sexual assault scene could be the midpoint that changes the tone of the story and how the characters interact with each other. So like the second half of the story is Simon feeling uncomfortable around Daphne and Daphne feeling uncomfortable around Simon because she's not unsure of what she did. But in the end, by the end they work through it together and then start progressing to have a more healthier relationship and a family. There's a lot of people out there say sexual assault should never be talked about in media. I disagree with that because it's something that if we never talk about, then like the problem will continue to happen.
Right.
You'll be like Daphne and not know what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like when it does happen, like be smart enough as writers and storytellers to understand what you are saying and then how to go about to talk about it in the most mature way possible. Like the more intense a situation is, the more mature you have to be in handling that situation.
And that's, I think, that is the problem, right? Like, this is getting out to millions of people, right? And it can not infect, but like it'll get the wrong message across too. Like she'll be like, "Oh my God, yes, like this is like the answer." It's like, no, this is not the answer. The show is doing it wrong. This
is a show for women who are just out of high school and into like this is actually like literally a college age demographic, which is the age is when you're trying to figure out how things work. So this show teaching you how like, oh, this is how it works. It's going to be okay. Extremely harmful.
Yeah.
Ryan, go ahead. I don't know if we can get to we're a little over on time, so I don't know about dislikes, but I do want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I'll be honest. You guys kind of covered it all. I have nothing really much to add to the scene. That just didn't affect me as much. I know some people. It's interesting to say the least, but I understand why it's triggering for some. I understood why they both did what they did, and I think both were wrong in what they did. But I honestly, I would not have thought anything of it if you guys had not brought it up. I have thought a little bit about more after everything you guys have said here, and I was like, all right, I can see both points of it. Just at the time, for me, I was just like, great, this is what causes us to have 2 more episodes of this show.
And I think that's a comment on the show itself, right? The show just blow past it. Doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It has no lasting effect on the rest of the show. That's why it's like it makes it worse because not only did they include it, but they choose and frame it the wrong way. They choose not to build off of it at all.
Well, that and like, here's the thing, like, right? I take it back. The show does address it a little bit. It is the stinger at the end of the episode. It is how the cliffhanger episode ends. So like the episode itself knows what Daphne does and uses it as a shock factor and just be like, oh my God, that's what happened. But like, it just kind of like, and then it goes into the narration from Whistledown, right? So like the show itself structurally knows what it did, use it as a structural point and a tool to like end this episode on, right? But it blows past enough for like audience who aren't watching it, like, oh, just like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. That's crazy. Like she finally got kids. Oh my God. But like, not enough time for anyone to put together like, oh my God, she just fucking raped him.
Yeah.
All right.
Final thoughts.
Yep.
Final thought is Bridgerton is a show caught up in its own delusions, which in my opinion creates an insincere piece of media. It's definitely not for me. And I just hope I didn't ruin this for Jordan.
No, you didn't. You did.
Okay. Anyways, I'm an Anthony Simon shipper. they have so much chemistry. I wish
I can see
Bridgerton
it.
was gay.
I could see it.
Funny enough, actually, Julia Quinn, the author of the books, was like, she hopes that there is a gay main character in future
Nice.
seasons. So we'll see.
Well, also the
Because
actor plays
is it just
Anthony.
something that she wasn't? I mean, obviously this was like early 2000 stuff. Is
Right.
it something that she just wanted to do in the books, just couldn't do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Also in the show, the actor who plays Anthony is also gay.
Oh,
In real
that's
life,
awesome.
yeah.
Never would have believed it.
No, he plays a
Yeah.
straight guy really well.
That's why Madeline says he's the best actor in the entire show.
And then my last final thought. I can't believe I put off Ryan Johnson's new show for this.
You're
LOL.
welcome. You put this upon yourself. I'll just say that.
I did put it upon myself.
Ryan?
This is the dramiest drama that ever drama, and it is also the most fanciest fantasy because black people are actually put in power, at least. I'm thinking about it, it's like not as super respected, but at least they weren't put through centuries of slavery, abuse, and discrimination. And Florida probably thinks this show is what African American history is. Yeah.
Probably.
I
Racism
see
was
the
solved
news.
because the king had jungle fever.
Jesus.
Exactly.
And actually, they're doing a
Um,
prequel series with the Queen's story. So,
Uh-oh.
So
Yeah,
we're gonna
that is
see that magic puss in use.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Here's the
I
thing.
think this.
for just in case anyone wants to defend that idea that like, oh, racism can be solved if the king loved a black person. That means that racism would have been solved in America because Barack Obama was president.
Correct.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the logic here. Well, I think this show is fun to watch with friends and to have color commentary over. It had all the annoying tropes that kind of turns me off of live action dramas. That said, I kind of want to watch Game of Thrones now because I'm like, that's Bridgerton, but with violence. Also, my final note: Mama and Papa. Just say mother and father like regular old timey British people.
I just think the TikTok
Gosh.
where it's like, "Ma, Papa drives a Rolls Royce."
It's funny. It's interesting that you think of like Game of Thrones as the next thing to watch from this. For me, it's Outlander. I kind of want to check out Outlander.
Here's the thing: if I have to watch like a drama and live action drama that is fantasy related, then I'd be like, this is Game of Thrones.
We could watch Rain from CW.
Oh God.
Zach, what are your final thoughts?
For me, very much turn off your brain. Just watch people go bananas on each other, and then unfortunately, your brain has to flip back on when the what the fuck moment happens because you realize, holy shit, this shit's fucked up. I find it hard to recommend to my circle of friends as there isn't much substance here, like theme wise, but the cool set pieces, colors, and good performances are also a treat.
Yeah, this is one where you like you want to show off stills of,
Mhm.
Yes.
but like, or like save stills, but like not actually show other people unless they really want to watch it.
Mhm. And then for me, it's a good show and one that I enjoy when I watch it, but it does have its issues. And with such a huge following, I think the issues need to be better executed. And it's also why I'm interested to see what they do with Benedict's season, because Benedict saves his love interest from getting raped. So
Oh,
yeah, we'll see how that happens.
If the show,
And then the tables turn in episode 6.
Oh my God, I would cry.
gonna be honest, if it's on track, he's just gonna end up doing it to her.
He does not. Okay,
no.
we like Benedict.
I love Tommy the clone.
Anyways, Zach, what's your pick?
We're all right. Question for you fellas: would you rather watch a movie or watch a show?
Movie, given my time constraints.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
don't care
enough.
either way.
All right, SpongeBob SquarePants the movie.
Let's fucking
Oh,
go!
God.
I love this movie.
I'm so
Can we watch Bridgerton season 2?
Well, wait, what was the show option?
Star Wars Rebels season 1.
Oh,
Well,
I would
that's a-
prefer
that-
that. Let's do the show. Let's do the show.
Oh, that's like, isn't that like 23 episodes?
The
Or 20 episodes?
first season's 15 episodes. They're 25 episodes apiece, so it's like 6.5
Let's
hours.
do the show. I can turn my brain off for that.
Nope.
No.
Zach
You
picks
can, turn
SpongeBob.
you can turn your brain off to SpongeBob too. That's only 90 minutes.
There you
That's
go.
90 minutes. It's not easy to get through.
That's 90 minutes.
Although it's Zach, I found it funny that you said Benedict was like clone of Tommy because it took me a while to figure out that Benedict and Anthony were two different people.
Oh yeah, no. The three brothers are clones of each other. They are one and exact same person. I'm sorry.
They're very related white men.
I never
All
figured
right.
them out until like the last episode.
Oh God.
All right, You know what, Kevin, just do the outro.
Yeah, please. You're gonna do a lot better.
Oh, all right. Well, if you want to hear the rest of our thoughts about other topics, tune into our full episode over on Patreon. Link to that is below in description. $5 to listen to that episode, and we thank you very kindly if you do pay us that $5. You can follow us on Twitter at Committed Crits, that's COMMITTED_CRITS, YouTube Committed Critics, TikTok at Committed Critics, and special thanks to our current patrons: David Peppers from Game Mechanics, Ryan Kolakowski from Ryan Plays Drums, Andy Phillips from Andy Phillips, Jody Wright, Devin Vonderhyde, and Brandon Morales. And we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.